The city lights glittered beneath the penthouse windows as the CEO father reviewed contracts, his mind wrapped in numbers rather than balloons and candles. Tiny footsteps pattered behind him, and a soft voice carried hope into the silence of the office. His daughter held a handmade card, glitter clinging to her fingers, hearts drawn slightly crooked but full of meaning. She asked if someone special could come to her birthday, someone others didn't notice. Her world was small but bright, where kindness mattered more than mergers and meetings, more than clocks and signatures. He paused, surprised at how such a simple question could feel larger than any deal on his desk. She spoke about a classmate who often sat alone at lunch, whose laughter came late as though it needed permission to exist. Her shoes were worn but polished with care, and her notebooks were decorated with dreams instead of brand names. The girl explained that birthdays should open doors, not build taller walls. The CEO listened, the weight of his schedule pressing upon him like armor, yet her words slipped through every seam. He realized she didn't want a bigger party, only a wider circle. Her request was small in cost but enormous in meaning, and it echoed in his chest long after she finished speaking. He remembered his own childhood parties, rooms filled with people who knew his father's name but rarely remembered his. Colorful balloons floated above conversations about profit, while he sat unnoticed beside mountains of gifts he hadn't asked for. Now he saw a reflection of that lonely boy in the glass of his office window, and in the bright eyes of the daughter before him. She was asking him not just for permission but for change, to choose compassion over image. He nodded slowly, feeling something warm stir beneath years of polished professionalism, and promised to make it happen. The mansion buzzed in preparation as staff hurried through corridors, voices soft but urgent about guest lists and protocol. They talked about security, about invitations already engraved and delivered, about routine. Yet the little girl tugged gently at her father's sleeve, trusting him more than the rules around them. She didn't beg for extra decorations or grand surprises, only for someone often forgotten to be welcomed. Her ribbon slipped from her hair, yet her hope did not slip at all. The CEO met her gaze, understanding that the real celebration would be in making room for one more heart. Colorful decorations transformed the hall as music drifted through the air like confetti. Towers of wrapped presents stood like small skyscrapers, impressive yet strangely quiet. But the little girl's attention rested mainly on the door, where she expected her friend to appear. She repeated the name softly, as if it were a wish she was afraid might blow away. The CEO watched her, realizing that joy is measured not by abundance but by inclusion. For the first time in years, he waited too, not for investors or partners, but for a child with a shy smile and a simple gift. Guests in elegant clothes arrived with polished greetings and practiced laughter, their conversations sparkling beneath crystal chandeliers. Business slipped easily into small talk, every word weighed and exchanged like currency. Yet the CEO heard another rhythm under it all, the steady hope of his daughter. His phone vibrated insistently in his pocket, reminders flashing across the screen, but he turned it face down. For once, the most important meeting in his life was happening without suits, papers, or signatures, and he chose to be fully present for it. At the tall iron gate, the shy classmate hesitated, clutching a neatly wrapped book tied with a ribbon she had saved. She wondered if she truly belonged among such grandeur and almost turned back. The security guard hesitated too, glancing toward the house for direction. Then the CEO himself appeared, stepping out with a warm smile, saying her name gently and clearly, as if it were the most important one in the world. The fear in her eyes softened into wonder. He offered his hand, not as a powerful man but as a father honoring his daughter's kindness. Inside, music softened and conversations faded as the two girls spotted each other across the room. They ran forward, not toward the cake or gifts but toward each other, laughter bubbling up like a handful of shining stars. They didn't notice the expensive decor or the curious glances of adults, they noticed belonging. The shy girl's shoulders relaxed as if she had been holding invisible weight for years. Their joy spread subtly through the room, loosening stiff smiles and straight postures until even the most serious faces softened. When the candles were lit, the cake glowed like a small sunrise in the center of the hall. The CEO lifted his daughter up so she could reach, and she invited her friend to stand beside her. They closed their eyes together to share one wish, whispering it into the tiny flames. The room fell quiet, as if everyone sensed the sacredness of that moment. They didn't wish for toys or luxury, they wished that no one would be left out again. The candles went out, but the warmth of that promise remained brightly alive in every heart watching. The CEO cleared his throat and spoke to the guests, his voice steady yet different from the speeches they were used to hearing. He did not talk about markets or growth but about kindness and inclusion. He said real success is measured at the edges of every room, where someone might be standing alone. The words surprised even him, they rose from somewhere honest and unpolished. People listened, seeing not only the leader of a powerful company but a father changed by a child's simple request. Gifts were opened amid laughter, but the most precious one was a small friendship bracelet made of colorful thread. The shy girl received it with trembling hands and shining eyes. She too had brought a present, an old favorite book carefully preserved, hoping it could share joy the way it once did for her. They promised to read together, to sit together at lunch, to make space for others too. Frosting smudged across noses gave way to contagious giggles that replaced every hint of nervousness with delight. Even the staff, trained to move invisibly along perfect schedules, felt something shift within them. Their routine steps slowed, their smiles became real rather than polite. Music changed from formal melodies to playful tunes that invited dancing rather than observation. Adults and children alike joined the moment, letting go of titles and timetables. For a brief while, the mansion felt less like a monument to success and more like a home filled with authentic joy. When the night finally quieted and balloons drifted lazily against the ceiling, the CEO tucked his daughter into bed. She thanked him softly, not for the grand party or decorations, but for saying yes when it mattered most. He kissed her forehead and realized that the greatest gift of the day belonged to him. He had rediscovered the part of himself capable of choosing empathy over image. The room dimmed, but the lesson glowed brighter than any city light outside. The next morning, the CEO arrived at his office with a different clarity guiding his decisions. He began creating programs to open doors for children like the shy guest, funding scholarships and community days, inviting families who rarely felt invited anywhere. His colleagues were surprised, investors curious, but he felt certain. These choices no longer came from strategy alone, they came from a birthday wish made beside flickering candles by two brave little voices. The story did not end with applause or headlines but continued in quiet daily actions. At school, more chairs were added to more tables, and lonely corners slowly emptied. The little girl grew older, still carrying the habit of inviting rather than excluding. The company grew too, not only in numbers but in kindness. And the CEO, once wrapped tightly in deadlines and deals, discovered that love was the greatest return he would ever earn, one invitation at a time.